Hi, it's Alex. Welcome back to my channel. I am back in the shed today. It's been a while since I've been here. It does mean that I have got a railway that literally is at the back of the shed here, and one of my neighbours seems to be doing some DIY, so I might have some slightly odd edits in this where I have to stop for background noise, but hopefully we'll manage to get there. Thank you very much for all the comments from the last vlog, which was the vintage patterns from my stash. It's been really interesting. A few people that follow me on Instagram have tagged me. Oh, now I've got an aeroplane going overhead. Ah, and somebody's soaring. Let's hope you can hear. Yeah, some people that follow me on Instagram have tagged me on things, patterns that they've bought, vintage patterns they've bought, kind of slightly inspired by that. So that's really nice. And some people have got some really good finds. So yeah, go check that out if you want to. But thank you very much for the lovely comments. I wasn't here last week. Well, wasn't here on YouTube, that is, because on Monday we just spontaneously decided to go away. My husband said let's go and hire a motorhome and go to the Lake District for a few days, and by lunchtime the next day we were in the motorhome and off we went. So yeah, I kind of didn't really do any sewing last week, and I have to say it was an absolute joy to get out of my own four walls. Left the children behind looking after the dogs. I mean, they're between 17 and 21, they're not small children. So yeah, it was really nice to get away. So I'm a little bit discombobulated, I can't quite remember where I left off, but I have done quite a bit of sewing since I last showed you anything. So I thought probably the best way to do it is to show you the things I made kind of in the order that I made them. And starting off with what I'm wearing right now, which is another Stitchbird dress. So last time I showed you this yellow version, which really was always intended to be a toile because I always wanted to use this particular fabric for the dress. And this is really, really lovely, good quality linen, so I didn't want to kind of use it until I was sure that the dress would fit well and I liked it. And if you remember, I'll do a little link thing, but if you remember when I made this version, I made it up and loved it and was very happy with it, and realised that the pleat on the back was completely wrong. And more or less, as soon as I posted that video, I literally turned around and started cutting out the correct version in this linen, and hopefully you will be able to see. If not, I'll insert some pictures, but the pleat is exactly as it should be and is diagonally across. And in fact, I came to realise all I'd done is I'd followed the instructions perfectly fine. I'd just done it inside out. So the pleat in fact is correct, but it's correct on the inside rather than the outside. Hopefully you will be able to see that. But to be honest, you know, I quite like it as it stands on this one, and quite like that I've got two slightly different variations. You see there's a bit of stitching there that's hidden underneath it. So that's the wrong side, but in fact was correct. So yeah, I literally made this in a couple of hours because it's so easy to make, and I know that you can't tell, and you might well say those are both two linen dresses, but the difference in the quality of fabric is phenomenal. This is 100% linen. It was obviously a lot more expensive. It came from with this cloth, and I love this colour. You know, greens are always going to be my thing. I think it's called, can't remember what it's called. So yeah, I'm really, really happy with this, and hopefully if I step back you can see the length of it. I mean, it just is a great throw-on dress. So that was the first thing I made. I have subsequently been in touch with Janine, who runs the Sewing Revival, whose pattern this is, or she got in touch with me and has offered me an affiliate link. So the link below is an affiliate link now which means that I get a small percentage of any sales of any patterns that come through on that. So just being absolutely upfront and honest with you. But I have talked about her patterns quite a lot before. I've done some pattern testing for her, and if you do follow me on Instagram, you might see that I recently shared her new coat pattern, which is called the Mallard coat and jacket, because she's based over in New Zealand. They're obviously heading into winter as this is supposedly summer in the UK. But it's a really, really nice coat pattern. So I shared that immediately, and when she got in touch with me, she said, look, you obviously love that. Would you like to try that pattern out as well? So that pattern has come my way, and she has given me that for free. So all being upfront and honest, and when I get round to making it, obviously I'll show you. And I hope that you trust that I will be absolutely, if I don't like it, I will tell you. Anyway, so Stitchbird dress was the first thing I made, and today is probably the first day I've worn it because we have been pouring down with rain here in the northwest. No summer at all. So the next up is a top that I saw that fitted the brief for something that I've kind of been on the lookout for a little while. I think I mentioned in one of my dress videos that I've been looking for a top or a dress with a square neckline and big puffy sleeves. And I'd bought an old vintage dress pattern that I was going to see if I could adapt a bit. Then I saw this on Instagram and thought, fabulous, somebody's done it for me. And I do think it could be fairly easily hacked into a dress. And it's the Tudor Blouse from Stitchwitch Patterns. I'd never heard of Stitchwitch Patterns, and that's because this is only her second pattern. She's an indie designer called, can't remember, sorry. She's based in Ottawa in Canada. So yeah, always nice to support somebody starting out. But, be fair, there's always a bit of a risk with that as well. I've definitely, probably won't mention any names, but there is one pattern company I bought a pattern from once and realised that probably never buy from them again. But always worth giving them a try. And so yes, there were lots of things about this I liked. I had been toying with looking at the Adriana dress from, I think it's Friday Pattern Company, which is very similar, but that has more of a kind of round neckline, and then the dress is very loose, straight down. And I was looking for something that was more fitted in the bodice, and then you could potentially either have some kind of waist or some shearing, and then kind of go out and just have a little bit more shape to it, I suppose, than the Adriana, although I do really like that dress, and yeah, it's on the list of things to buy at some point. It comes in sizes 0 to 26, I think it is, which is great. Nice, good size range, and that will be probably US sizes, so you can add 2 onto that for us here in the UK. Hardly uses any fabric. I think it comes in 2 lengths. There's a cropped and a sort of regular length, and the regular length I think is 1.3 meters of fabric. So that's really good little stash buster. It also comes in 2 bust sizes, or it's small bust and fuller bust. I went for small bust, and I have to say I'm really happy with the fit. So yeah, it seems like somebody's put a lot of thought into this pattern, which is great. And in terms of fabric, I've been trying to go to that pile of fabrics, my kind of special ones, kind of as the first stop with any patterns that I'm using at the moment. So I went and had a look, and I chose this fabric from LuLou designs that I bought quite a while ago now, with a cactus print on it. I was going to make some pyjamas out of it or something like that, because it's not an obvious me kind of a print, but I was drawn to it and there's something about it I like. But I chose it because I've also been wearing my orange flares quite a bit, but I'm struggling a little bit with what to wear top-wise with the orange, because it's such a vibrant colour. Yeah. So, and other than, plain white tee, which is fine, but anyway, there's a little bit of orange in the print on this cotton fabric, so I thought maybe it would work quite well, and I'm really pleased with it. So I think what I'll do is I'm going to go That's the drum room. Go disappear in the drum room and pop it on. So here I am wearing with said orange flares. Hopefully you can see there's a little orange flower on the top of the cacti, so I was hoping that that would work. But I'm really happy with it. I think the fit is perfect. I made a size 14, and you know how rare it is that your all three measurements, bust, waist and hips, fit in the same category, although it is for me. And in this case they were absolutely spot on. Brilliant. I didn't have to make a single adaptation or any kind of changes at all, which is marvellous. I didn't use, there is a provided button placement thing, I didn't use that, but also because I've got a pattern, I was very carefully pattern matching, which also meant it took a little bit longer than had I made it in a plain. But I'm really, really happy with it. I did become aware when I was putting it on to fit that because you've got this very wide neckline here, you've got to bear that in mind in terms of bras. The bra I was wearing at the time was kind of, there's DIY going on next door, was kind of coming up here or across there. So luckily I already had a bra at home that's, in fact it's one of those that I think you can take the straps off, but it's much wider here. But yeah, that's just something to bear in mind. But I really like it. The puff sleeve is, oh, there's the escaping bra. The puff sleeve is elasticated, and the instructions do say to check that before you kind of, you know, absolutely sew that in. And in my case, I did have to take some elastic off, quite a bit actually, I mean probably 5 centimetres or a couple of inches. So yeah, but I like that because it's nice and flexible, obviously. And I think what I will probably do with this, and I mentioned it before actually on a previous video, is I will put a little clip in here in the shoulder to kind of attach to the bra. And by that I mean, because somebody said, what are these clips, they sound amazing, and I was like, no, it's nothing very clever really, it's just a matter of sewing a little bit of fabric in with a popper either side, and so that you attach it sort of through the bra strap, or the bra strap goes through it, and then you're not potentially doing this all the time like I am. But yeah, that's the only thing to bear in mind, and I guess if you've got a fuller bust that could be more of an issue. But I really like it. So yes, the cuff is elasticated as well, and in terms of the instructions I can definitely say they're great. So yeah, definitely well worth supporting this lady. I think she's, I've remembered now, I think she's called Madeline or Madeline, who knows. But yeah, so definitely worth supporting her because the instructions were fab. Certainly kind of hand-holdy enough if you're not somebody fantastically experienced. And it is a nice simple make. It would have been very quick to make had I not been fiddling around matching patterns at the front here. But yeah, dead easy, and I definitely think it would be really easy to make a dress version out of it. I mean, all you'd have to do is make sure that you've got your hip measurements. If you know a little bit about drafting, it wouldn't be too difficult, or you could possibly even take a skirt from a different pattern, check that the 2 waist measurements work, and you know, have a bit of a fiddle around. But I don't think it would be too difficult to do. So yeah, I am really happy with this. So I had 1.5 meters of this fabric, which, oh, it is a joy to sew with cotton, it really is. No slipping around or anything, it's so nice. But I had a little bit left over, so I used that to make a face mask for my daughter. She wanted something she said would look friendly. And then the next thing was a pair of shorts. But before I tell you about the shorts, I did just want to mention another thing that I wanted to kind of pass on to you, is there is a really good new blog that's out there. It's written by a lady who I know from Instagram. She's on Instagram as the Hammy Dressmaker. She doesn't live too far away from me, and she's up here in Manchester. and at some point we will meet up. She is great at sourcing fabric from her local market and from some of the Asian markets in the area. So yeah, I'm definitely going to go and join her one day and go and see what what's in her area. She's got a nice, easy kind of, she's having a laugh with it. There is a bit of swearing involved, but yeah, I quite like that myself. She's coming from the angle as somebody fairly new to dressmaking, so lots of information about where to start, how to get going, and she's also looking at things from a kind of the budget angle, how to get going without having to spend an absolute fortune and all of that kind of thing. So really enjoyable read. I really like her blog. She's also a curvy girl, so she's looking at all of that kind of thing and all of the patterns available. So yeah, I think her name's Gemma, but it's really funny. In my head, she's Hammy. When I see her on Instagram, I go, oh, look, there's Hammy. So, the shorts. I mentioned a little while ago that I didn't have any me-made shorts, and in fact, the only shorts that I have are denim ones. Which is a bit boring, isn't it? Oh, here comes a train. So I did think that I would probably make some shorts from a pattern I already had. I've got the Chai Town chinos, which actually was originally a shorts pattern. The Pietra pants have come up from Closet Case patterns, which I'm still in two minds about that elasticated waist at the back. I'm just worried that it could give more bulk than we need. But I then saw a new pattern that was released, like a magpie, a new pattern gets released, I can't resist it. New pattern that was released from Tesutti Patterns over in New Zealand, and the shorts are called Esther, I think. And what I liked about them was that they looked like they'd be fairly quick and easy. They don't have a fly front, and I kind of wanted to avoid that. It's always a faff doing a fly front, isn't it? It gives you more bulk at the kind of point where you don't really want more bulk. They have the side seams sit slightly forward, and they have a zip on one of the side seams and darts at the back. So I thought, give a fair bit of shape, but also be a fairly quick and easy pattern to make. So, and I do like Tesutti. I've used their patterns quite a lot. They do provide finished garment measurements, but they only provide them for the hips and the length. And for somebody like me, that is always a bit of a problem, because I, and as I'm always saying, am a bit thicker at the waist than most pattern measurements put me in. So I do always want to see the finished garments around the waist, which, by the way, for this pattern, the Stitch Witch Tudor Blouse, she did provide finished garment measurements for the waist. But on Tesutti they don't. So when I looked at the sizing, the size, I'm trying to do this from memory, the size 10 had a waist measurement of 79 centimetres and hips I think are 101. And the next size up, the waist went up to 84 centimetres. Now I am 81, so right in the middle there. And my hips are at 101, so I was like, well, do I go for the smaller size and grade it up a bit at the waist? Or do I go for the bigger size and take it down, but then potentially it's a bit flappy? Which is why I would have liked to have the finished waist measurement. Anyway, what I decided to do was I decided to make the size 10, which would have been 2 centimetres too small around the waist, but reduce down the, seam allowance. So I think the seam allowance is ½ an inch. Just checked my notes. They are ½ an inch. And by the way, I find that really weird. It's very inconsistent. The fabric requirements are in metric, the body measurements are in metric, everything's in metric, and then the seam allowance is in imperial. I do wish that pattern companies would be consistent. In fact, to be honest, I wish that they would just give us both, because if you're someone like me, I don't use imperial measurements at all. Strangely, I use imperial for everything else, but not sewing. So I am quite often having to go and look up in a sort of conversion chart, so it'd be good if they'd just give us both. But it's a bit weird, isn't it, to give all the measurements in metric and then the seam allowance in inches. Anyway, seam allowance was 1/2 inch, which is about 12 centimetres. So I thought, well, if I take it down, I did a little calculation, thought that just about, with the number of seams, will just about give me my 81 centimetres around the waist, so it should work fine. So I made a toile out of some fabric that I thought would be a wearable toile actually, and let me show you how it looks. It's not pretty. So I am slightly in danger of flashing you my ever glamorous HRT patch. But look, there we go. Nowhere near doing up at the waist. Obviously, hopefully you can see, very tight. I mean, it's fitting across the hips, but it's in a kind of pretty unflattering, just too tight way. So I thought, well, not only are they, could I even zip them up? No. Not only am I not even able to zip that up, I don't even think that the next size up is going to do the trick. So I don't really want to stand here showing you bits of me that can't do up, so I'm just going to go put the right ones on. Here they are. So yes, in the end I made a size 14, so that's actually 2 sizes up. And actually I only took about 1 centimetre out at the waist when I went to fit them. So the waist actually fits just about right. I did put the zip on the right side this time. And I think they're okay. I mean, I don't think I'm ever going to love a pair of shorts. You know, like a lot of women, I'm not massively comfortable wandering around with my legs out. But when it gets to the summer, you sort of, yeah, you get a bit more used to it, don't you? I feel that they're just a little bit, I don't think they particularly work with this top actually, so I don't think that's helping. The side seams, which come slight, so instead of being there, they're slightly forward. I'm not 100% convinced that that works. I feel like it doesn't look deliberate enough, that they would possibly be better coming forward a little bit more and being just slightly off centre. I've got the zip on the toile, the zip was the wrong way, on the wrong side, but I've got the zip here. I've got a bit of a bump which you possibly can't see, but I do think that's because I used a zip that was substantially longer. My zip actually, look, is there, so I should probably cut that off and you know, put a couple of stitches over at the end. That would probably help that. But I don't know, I'm not convinced. So the next thing I made was another Melio shirt in some fabric from Fabric Godmother that I just couldn't resist, and it was one of the fabrics that I bought when I had my almighty fall off my fabric ban. So let me get that. I'm actually hoping, I've not worn it with these shirts, I'm actually hoping that it will work a little bit better than this top because, yeah, as I said, I'm not convinced about the combination. So I'll pop back. So here it is. It's another short sleeved version, and I did try the method that lots of people had told me about where rather than having the cuff that pokes out, you make a facing from the top part of the sleeve addition that comes with the pattern. But it just didn't work very well. This is a viscose, so it's quite drapey, and I just couldn't get it to lie nicely, so in the end I just used bias binding. So yeah, these have just got, you know, homemade from this fabric, bias binding around the armholes, and I'm a lot happier with that than the poking out cuffs. The reason I couldn't resist this fabric is, might have to get a close-up image to show you, but it has images of sighthounds or greyhounds all over it, and I'm not really one for a kind of cutesy kind of print. I mean cutesy in the English sense of the word. But I have got a greyhoundy lurcher, and he's a rescue, so we don't really know what he is. But he's definitely got a lot of greyhound, he's definitely a sight hound, and this fabric just reminded me of Dobby. I'll insert my favourite picture of him. I just couldn't resist it. So it came from Fabric Godmother, and it comes in a couple of different colourways. I think the other one is more like a neutrally sand colour, and pink isn't my natural kind of comfort area, but yeah, I liked it. I like this fabric a lot. I particularly like the quality of it, I have to say. You know, not all viscoses are the same, and it feels kind of powdery almost. It's got a lovely feel to it, and it's a really nice quality. You know, it's not very thin like viscose can be, but you know, it is slippery, and it was a bit of a mare to sew, only on the very fiddly bits, which, yeah, when I was trying to get that facing in, but also on the buttonholes. Oh my goodness, I unpicked the buttonholes so many times that in the end I went and dug out some washable stabilizer, washable interfacing, and put bits of that underneath it while I was sewing the buttonholes, and that sorted it out beautifully. I think I took a photograph, so I'll show you what I mean. The stabilizer definitely helped it, because my machine did not like making buttonholes on this. But as it's a concealed placket, it doesn't really matter too much. The one thing I'm finding really annoying about these shorts, I keep wanting to put my hands in some pockets and there aren't any. So yeah, I'm increasingly unconvinced by this pair of shorts. But the Melio I'm really happy with. I did take a little bit off the length. It does seem to be exceptionally long as a shirt, and I'm 5'7", so you know, I'm reasonably tall, and if you want to tuck it in, that can be a bit of a pain, but I do really like it, and I know I'm definitely going to wear this lots. So that's where I got to, and then yesterday, this is the last one, I promise, I decided that I was going to finally use that gorgeous Nanny Iro fabric that I bought not that long ago, the one that's kind of black and grey, sort of graduating out. It's got a sort of painterly look to it. And I really wanted to make the Maynard dress from Elba Patterns with it, and I just thought it could look really, really good because it's such an unconventional design. That painterly bit at the bottom kind of tapers from black into grey, being at slightly odd angles could look amazing. But unfortunately, it wasn't going to work because the graduation goes along the cross grain, and these Nanny Iro fabrics are very narrow, and I just couldn't get the pieces to work. So I had to kind of abandon that, and I was about to just fold up the fabric and put it away, and I just thought, no, come on, I am in danger of not using this, and I love it, and I would be better off using it, even if it's for something pretty simple that I'm going to wear a lot, than just leaving it to sort of fester on a shelf somewhere. So I just thought, I'll just make another Stitchbird. Sorry, it's not very exciting, but I'm excited by it because I know I'm going to get a lot of wear out of it. So I'll do another quick whiz and I'll pop back. So here it is. Hopefully you can see it, because obviously black is notoriously difficult to photograph. But yeah, as I said, the pattern goes on the kind of cross grain, so where the kind of painterly stripes go from black to grey, that's at either side of the fabric, and because of the length of the dress I couldn't get it in at both ends. Could have made the dress longer, but I kind of like the length, so I thought it would work better at the hem, and I'm really, really pleased with it. You know, no changes, it's just the same as the other one. I did get the pleat right. Doubt very much you'll be able to see that in black, but hopefully, keep my fingers crossed. But yeah, I'm really pleased. Now the neighbour's sawing again. I'm just going to plough on through because I've been waiting for this neighbour to stop doing their DIY at various points. But yeah, I mean, pockets, you know, we need them. I'm definitely going to do a different shorts pattern, you know. I'm not convinced I'll wear those. They're a bit Boy Scouts. But yeah, really like it. And I do think that I'll wear it in the winter, you know, with just a tight long sleeve top underneath and tights and a pair of boots. And then just like this time of year. So in a way I'm pleased. No, not in a way. I am pleased that I used the fabric and stopped kind of holding on to it to try and do something totally amazing and wonderfully creative with it, because instead what I've done is made something very wearable out of some fabric that feels really nice and that I'm going to wear all year round. So yeah, I think it's a win-win. So that's me done for today. I have to say, I've really liked being back in the shed. I feel a bit more chatty here, although maybe that's a bad thing, not sure. So I will be back soon. I don't imagine I'm going to go on any more spontaneous breaks. I've had lots of new subscribers. In fact, millions of, slight exaggeration, lots of new subscribers. I feel like it was just a second ago I was excited to have hit 2,000, and when I looked this morning it was like 2,800. So yeah, brilliant. Thank you very much everybody who's joined. Please, you know, if you've got any questions, please put a comment below. If you haven't subscribed, that would be great if you would. And I will be back very soon. Check out Gemma's blog, Hammy Dressmaker, and I'll be back. Thank you very much. Bye bye.